YouTube artist, I'm Kelly Hernig and welcome to In the Studio. I wanted to try something a little different with you, more like a vlog style, because I've got a lot of things to say, but not a lot to show you, if that makes sense. It is actually 1:45 in the morning on Friday. I know, I haven't been to sleep yet, but this is when I get my second wind. And a lot has been happening and going through my mind right now. As you can see that my hair's up, my studio's a mess, but that's okay. I'm getting through it. It is fall here. My creativity is on fire. Like, I can't sleep. I've got too many ideas going through my head. And after finishing this book, the Creative Abstract watercolor book, I'm kind of lost. I don't know what to do every day because this was consuming my week a lot of times. And I want to do another study, but I also want to take what I learned and see where it will take me. I'm not allowing that to happen for some reason. I'm pushing forward. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'm wanting to explore more. There are a couple things that have been going through my mind. One of them is simplifying my, I want to say drawing and painting. I don't want to be as detailed. You know, I have a photorealism background in color pencil, and I'm trying to get away with that in watercolor. I want it to be more playful. I still want it to have a Illustrator quality, if that makes sense. I still want it to look like me and be representative. I just don't want to put all the detail in there. I want some detail because I want you to know if I'm painting a penguin that it is a penguin. I just don't need you to see the eyelashes on the bird or the beak line or all of the detail in the feathers, right? So that's how I'm trying to simplify. There are a couple artists that I'm looking at. One is more for simple drawings, and the other is just her playful quality. The one that I'm really looking at right now is Melissa Sweet. She is an illustrator who does a lot of different books. So this is one of her books that I'm looking at right now. And you can see it's by Melissa Sweet. If you look up Melissa Sweet on anywhere, Google or anything, you will see her illustrative style right away. And it is gorgeous. What I like about it is she uses a lot of words. She uses a lot of really simplistic, I don't want to say artwork. It's simplistic, so if she's drawing a pig, it will just be a ball and another ball for the head, a little ball for the nose, and a little squiggly tail. Like, that's about as far as she goes. She doesn't really shade it or highlight it or anything like that. And I really like that. I like that it's representational, but it's not detailed. That's what I mean by simplify. So one of the things that I'm really liking is her use of words and images together. She does it beautifully and seamlessly. Now, she does a lot of mix of digital, maybe digital backgrounds with, like, think of vintage ephemera. So old ledger pages, old book covers, old stamps, handwritten letters, that kind of stuff. So she'll maybe scan that in and then place her painted artwork scanned in again, but place it on top of it. And I love the combination of the two. So by that, just look at this book cover here. You can see that this whole book cover was actually a ledger. And then she made it look like a tag here that she did the words on. Look how beautiful that is. And then look at this image. So just by adding letters to a cutout, you know it is a guy, right? Because of the hat, the face, and then the body. But look, the detail really isn't there. You'll also notice that she's very colorful, which, you know, me being drawn to that is kind of funny because you know I'm all muted all the time, right? So I'm trying to be inspired by her, but also find myself in that. And I did that along the way with the Creative Abstract watercolor book. You saw that with me. You experienced what I was going through, and you saw how I changed throughout. So I'm going to show you what I was doing in this book to see if that is something that you would like to see more of. So please, if you enjoy how I'm breaking this down, let me know in the comments. I really want response from my community. I want to know what you like about my work, what you want to see more of, because 2026 is right around the corner and I want to make sure that you're getting what you want out of my channel as well. I will always bring creativity and inspiration and painting and studying to my audience because that's who I am. I just can't help myself. But I want to know where you want me to push a little further. So in this book, I should say, the first piece that I really loved was this. I want you to look at the colorful band along the top. Do you see all that? But I'm going to bring you closer so you can see that it's words. Now, isn't that a fun way to do it, right? So when I was first looking through this book, I go through and I mark all of my pages. You'll see all the little tabs on the top there. Those are pages that I was drawn to for one reason or another. And I like to look at that first as just, what am I drawn to, without actually dissecting it too much, right? If I found something on the page that made me stop, made me wonder, made me look at it twice, I put a little bookmark in there. So from that page, I was like, okay, what is it that I'm really drawn to with that? And it was the way that it was moving in color. Her words were also moving. The letters were different sizes and different shapes. There was different colors all throughout. So she didn't just do a yellow band and then do like white lettering, right? She might have a yellow band with different color letterings, but then she's got some pink in that yellow. I'm going to show you a little section right here. So you see how it's multi-layered, and I think that's why I'm drawn to her work so much, is there is so much going on. You know, sometimes she shades just with a pencil, sometimes she shades with paint, but I really like that she keeps you on your toes. So that is one of the things that I'm really drawn to, is I don't know what to expect from her. So when I was looking at that, I decided to try one in my own way to see how I could represent it. So I took that little section that I showed you, I made it here. And I tried to copy it the best way that I know how. You know, I'm not the best at drawing letters, so that is something of a challenge in itself. But I'm learning to just appreciate my hand lettering for what it is. I'm not trying to be perfect in the lettering. That is not what drew me to her style. It is the combination of colors, letters, and layers. That's kind of what I've come through. And then in order for me to take that now into my learning, I found a quote that I like. And so I tried writing it. I think I wrote it first and then I mashed the colors in. And you'll see it here. And what I tried to do was make the letters all a little bit different like she did, but I also tried to merge different styles of color, of stripes, you know, tried to make movement within itself. If you notice, I gave it kind of a weird shape. It kind of curves in there, it kind of goes higher up here, and I like that because for me, I think that I'm drawn to her non-conformity. So nothing is a square, nothing is a circle. It's always got some kind of rough or moving edges. And I think that that's really a beautiful thing. And when I was looking at this too, I was trying to decide if I could bring in the abstract book and try it out on this book. So what I did first was I took just a few colors and I made like a square with different layers. And then I put a poem inside of that. And what I liked was I liked the freedom of doing the painting first, because for me, I find the comfort in the painting. But when it came time to letter, I was like, oh, how do I do this? How do I make it look like mine? So I ended up doing a lot of like bubble letters, and you'll see that in a moment. And although I liked them, they didn't feel like me. I usually print really tall and skinny. Like all of my printing and cursive is really elongated, right? So very tall. So by having the bubble-like, especially in the O's, I felt like that just didn't feel like me. And you'll see that I tried to put stuff inside of them, which really didn't feel like me. But I learned a lot from that piece. So let me show you this. You can see the layers of color there, and you can see the textures that I got from the abstract book. But then applying the letters was just something that I was doing pretty random, but fitting it in where there was color. And you can see that it looks different, right? It didn't feel like me as much as the first one did because of those bubble letters. So what I made a note to myself was, okay, I need to make thinner, taller letters, but I also like when they have a little bit of thickness. If I get too skinny, I don't like it as much. I feel like it needs a little more weight, especially because it's a letter, and maybe because I know that I need to do it in gray. I don't really like if my letters are black. So experimenting in another way, I wanted to do pencil. I found these Copic multiliner pencils or pens. And I have this one is a warm gray, and I have a cool gray, and then I've just got like a number 2 pencil. And what I'm going to try next is, I did just circles, and it says "You Are My Sunshine." So I'm going to do it in pencil, the cool gray, and the warm gray. First, I'm going to write it all and then add the color. And then on the next one, the next side, I'm going to add color first and then write over it. And I thought that I would take you along while I'm working on that. It's just something that I want to see if it makes a difference by having the color over the letters or the letters on top of the color, if that makes sense. I want to see if one stands out a little bit more than the other and which way I like it. You know, by trying a warm gray, which is a little more brown, to a cool gray, which is a little more blue, and then the pencil I think is a little more neutral. So I'm going to have fun playing with those. So I'm going to bring you along and let me know which one you like the best whenever I get done. So do you see the difference? This is, I painted on top, I painted first. This one here is with the cool gray marker. This one down here is the warm gray marker. I prefer the pencil being done first and then the painting over it, but I prefer the marker on top. I just think that it shines a little better. It's a little easier to read. And I don't see much difference between the cool gray here and the warm gray, but underneath, this is the cool gray and this is the warm gray. I feel like the warm gray is easier to read than this one, but over here where it's on top, I think the cool gray is easier to look at than the warm gray, which is really funny. I would probably do the warm gray because I know that that's more in my style. I like usually a warmer gray, like the color pencil French gray is my favorite gray. So I would probably use this. However, if I'm gonna do pencil, I like the way that that looks as well. I was just looking for a more permanent solution to my work instead of having pencil, which you can rub off sometimes. So this has been an interesting study. And this is what I mean, trying different things and trying different materials to see what you like and what fits your personality and what you're more comfortable with. I think that experimentation is the only way that you'll figure that out. I already knew that I would not like the black pen. It's just too heavy for my style. You know, a lot of my stuff is more medium value. Even these colors are a lot more bold than I would be, but I wanted to try something bolder to see if the underneath or above would make a difference with the writing. So after this study, and let me show it to you here, full on, it was a lot of fun to experiment with and let me see the different options that I had and the different choices and how they turned out. What's next for me in this study? I'm going to continue. I want to do like a whole alphabet, kind of think of uppercase and lowercase. I think that's where I'm going to go next because I'm having fun playing with different letters, and I really like when a U is really wide. I like when an E is really tall. I like when a G is lowercase, but yet it fills the space of an uppercase letter. So I think that's what I need to do now is maybe a couple pages of alphabets to get familiar with my handwriting and see what that does. And I'm going to try it in pencil. I want to try it in the warm gray because I know that I'm going to like the warm gray better, and maybe even the black just to see how definite it is and if I can give myself a nice variety of the letters with each pencil, with each tool I should say. So the pencil and the marker and then the black, giving them three different distinctive styles that still feel like me. I want to expand on my writing, my handwriting, because that's what I know. I don't want to mimic anyone else's. I want to figure out ways to make my writing different than everyone else's, but yet add a little thickness to it, because right now these letters are way too skinny. I do like the word art here. You know, I like the thickness that that has. I don't really care for the outline letters, but I like the thickness. So by me having in here this skinny letters, I think if they were thicker, I would be much happier with them. And that doesn't mean that I can't go in here and add another line to make them thick. And I might just do that just so that I can see what the outcome will be. So I hope that you've seen what a study means to me. It's just trying different things. And again, I enjoy working in a sketchbook. This is just a simple sketchbook by Stillman and Byrne. It's the Alpha series, which is really made for mixed media because I wasn't sure if I was going to be using a lot of painting. Like I know from now on, I want to make notes on each page. I want to keep going with trying different things, but I do know watercolor is going to be my medium for this because I'm enjoying the watercolor process so far. So if you've liked this study and you want to see more of these or more of just a face-to-face kind of vlog, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate knowing your thoughts, because as we move forward into 2026, I really want to share more of my processes. You know, I create art every single day, almost every single day. And I would love to take you along on the journey instead of just the finished project or the finished product. So if that is something that you would like to see, please leave me a note in the comments. I would really appreciate that. If you were inspired by today's study, please leave me a like or a comment. If you haven't subscribed, please click the button and make sure that you hit the bell as well, so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.